Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome back to the Tres Leches Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Gilly Matos. Brought to you, as always, in conjunction with El Mundo Boston. And as always, joined by my colleagues, mis colegas, longtime baseball announcer, Uri and Gil. How you doing, Yuri?
What's up, Gil? I'm all right, brother. I'm all right. I'm a little tired today. I'm dragging, but I'm ready to kick your asses in some debates. I'm ready.
So just to be clear, you're dragging and not a dragon, right?
He is the dragon, though. He is a dragon.
Both. That's
He
right.
is a dragon.
That's right.
That's right. You see, I got your back, Yuri.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also joined by Omar Cabrera, reporter for the New England Revolution and the New England Patriots. How's it going, O?
Hey, guys. Happy to be here. For those that don't know why you're the dragon, he's the dragon just like myself because we went to Boston Latin Academy and we are the dragons.
Yeah. BLA.
I don't even know what to do. Moving on. As always, guys, Tres Leches Sports Podcast brought to you in conjunction with El Mundo Boston. And as always, bring you three topics in the world of sports. And let's start off with the NFL, guys. The Chiefs and Bucks will battle it out in the Super Bowl. And what was very much a challenging regular season, the NFL was actually able to get the playoffs off without any COVID hitches. Surprise, surprise. In your opinion, guys, which teams underachieved in the playoffs? Let's start off with you, Omar. What do you think?
Man, I had two teams, guys, in the playoff. Starting out the NFC out west, I would say the Seattle Seahawks, guys, a team that we also started really hot at the beginning of the season. They had an MVP candidate and Russell Wilson, man. The offense looked unstoppable the first few weeks, and then it cooled off, and then damn, they lost in the first round of the playoff. I was really expecting them to win in one or two games, even make it to the conference finals, but they were stopped by a really great offense in the LA Rams, and that's why I thought they underachieved, because I was expecting a lot more from them, after seeing how they started. And then in the AFC, I would say that the Baltimore Ravens, I know they got the revenge and they beat the Tennessee Titans, the team that actually got them out of the playoff last year. But I was expecting a lot more from them as well. They had the reigning MVP and Lamar Jackson, and they had a great defense last year. I thought that was going to duplicate this year, but it didn't happen. I don't know if it had to do a lot with COVID. Of course it did, but I still expecting a lot more from them, and I thought they probably had a team to make it all the way to the conference final as well. So those are the two teams that I think underachieved in my eyes.
In your opinion, I mean, Omar mentioned the Ravens there who were knocked out by an elite quarterback in Josh Allen. What do you think, in your opinion, who in your opinion, who are the underachievers in the NFL playoffs this year?
You know what? Oh, I'm sorry, but I just don't see how you can call the Seahawks underachievers when we knew they sucked from week 3. We knew they had a crappy defense from week 3. Cam Newton threw for 400 yards against them. They couldn't stop a booger. They had an awful defense. You can't underachieve if you're the Seahawks in 2020. I think what happened to the Seahawks was what was expected to happen. They weren't a complete football team. I'm going to tell you who underachieved in the playoffs. In the playoffs, the only underachievers are the Green Bay Packers. That's the only team that underachieved. Everything else in the playoffs has gone pretty much as you expected, or at least you can understand why it happened. Listen, I really expected the Packers, to beat Tampa Bay, but that's it. Other than that, and I'm not surprised that they lost to Tampa Bay because they have the great one. Tampa Bay has the great one. Other than that, there were no other surprises. Green Bay underachieved like no one else. The Saints ran into the GOAT. Simple as that. You expected them to lose. I expected them to lose. Same thing with the Bills. They ran into the other, or perhaps the next GOAT. They ran into mini GOAT, into Mahomes and KC. Did you expect the Bills to win? No. Green Bay's offense was ranked 5th in yards per game during the season. They were 1st in QBR. They were 5th in rush yards per game, 2nd in third down completions, 1st in points per game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They had just as good as an offense as Kansas City. They were and they had Aaron Rodgers, and they had a defense just as good as Kansas City's. They were just about in the middle of the crowd, just about the middle of the crowd of the NFL. They were the team that was supposed to advance. They were playing at Lambeau in the AFC Championship. They didn't make it. They're the only underachievers.
They forced 3 interceptions and still couldn't win that game.
Exactly.
It's crazy. And then Matt LaFleur, of course, at the end there, imagine having Aaron Rodgers.
Bonehead.
I agree that the Packers did underachieve, but I'm gonna go also with the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys. After starting 11-0, being 7-1 at home, and then losing a home game to a team who didn't even have their coach there. Their coach wasn't even there because of COVID protocol, and they still got blown out by the Browns. I go with Pittsburgh only because also I had to hear from every single Pittsburgh fan from here to the Allegheny telling me how great that team was and that they were going to go undefeated and run the table and everything else. So first round exit for those guys. But yeah, I agree. Green Bay definitely that definitely took it there as well.
I think Green Bay just took it. The only thing I say about Pittsburgh, and I know hates the Steelers. He always has. So the only thing I say about why Pittsburgh wasn't much of a surprise is because we saw them at the end of the season. We saw the last 4 or 5 games of the season. Everybody started noticing this Pittsburgh team. Like, whoa, they're really not good at all, are they? They couldn't run the ball. Ben Roethlisberger really couldn't do much. Juju Smith-Schuster just didn't look like half the player he was last year. They started leaking. They started leaking before they got to the finish line.
And definitely, Roethlisberger showed his age. They couldn't run the ball at all. Their defense looked porous. Yeah, they had their problems, but you still thought that, look on the other side. It's the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are the Browns, right? So you always expect something bad to happen.
They're playing at home.
And they're playing at home. So, so I go with those guys. I go with the Steelers and the Packers there.
Well, I guess we didn't agree on any team, but that's good. That's good.
The Green Bay is still going to be under my skin. Green Bay is going to be under my skin. Perhaps, though, not under my skin as much as the baseball writers are under Curt Schilling's skin. Guys, the baseball writers of America have spoken, and for the first time since 1993, not one player was voted into baseball's Hall of Fame, including a guy known as the most dominant postseason pitcher of all time, perhaps, Curt Schilling. Schilling fell just short of the 75% of the votes required to get in. I'll start with you, quite and simple, Gil. Did the voters get it right? Is Schilling not a Hall of Fame player? Or does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
So Schilling was so butthurt by this that he asked the baseball writers to leave him off the ballot next season. This is the same Curt Schilling who tweeted his approval of a T-shirt that said "Rope Tree Journalist," implying that journalists should be hung. Supported the insurrection of the Capitol, mocked trans people, challenged a black player's account of getting taunted with racial slurs, has gone after Muslims as well. And luckily the Hall of Fame isn't about one little player's hurt feelings, right? Or his snowflakey ways, right? But despite being a piece of, like your kids would say, poop, Uri, right? He belongs in the Hall of Fame. He does belong in the Hall of Fame, and I think the numbers speak for itself. His ERA plus, his WAR as well, his postseason stuff. Regardless of what you may think of the man, if you're going to start doing that, then we're going to have to start removing all the racists that are in there as well, right? And start with Ty Cobb and go on.
Why? Says who? Why? Why do we have to take? Why do we have to take them out? Why do we have to go back and take them out? I don't understand.
Well, because why are we keeping somebody out because of his feelings off the field? I don't care what.
Because as a society, and too bad for him, as a society, we don't think the same way we thought 50, 60 years ago. We have changed. Yeah. We have evolved. The man has that different way of thinking. What was okay back then is not okay today.
Okay, I get it. But you also want Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, and I don't care what Pete Rose did off the field. I care what he did on the field. And the same thing with Curt Schilling. I don't care what he does off the field. We're not voting him in because he's a good person. We're not voting him in for his political beliefs. We're voting him in for his baseball accolades, and he has the accolades to get in the Hall.
Why are we taking all these Confederate flags down? Why are we taking all these Christopher Columbus, for crying loud, statues are being taken down? Well, why? Because what they did wasn't achieved, or wasn't a huge achievement? No, because they were scumbags. We'll get back to that. But Omar, I'm gonna with you. Same question.
Does Schilling belong? Raiding countries.
No, but why should he be enshrined? That's my point. Omar, should he be enshrined? Is he a Hall of Famer?
Man, definitely a tricky question, and I've been going back and forth because I was a Curt Schilling fan when he was with the Sox because he helped the Sox win the first World Series, and I appreciated that. But I have to, Oh yeah, we were there, Uri. We were there, but I definitely feel like if it was for his numbers, man, all his accomplishments, man, they face little dispute. He should be on the Hall of Fame. But Uri, I'm with you. We're living in a different era now. You know what? We see everything on the different glasses, the different microscope, and we have to, keep athletes to a higher standard, especially the Hall of Fame. It's not all about the numbers anymore. Unfortunately, If it was just the numbers, yeah, Curt Schilling should be there. I know Gil already mentioned a lot of the numbers. So, a very important number to me is 3 World Series. That was really important too for Curt Schilling. But unfortunately, everything that he has done after retirement, I feel like he doesn't belong there anymore.
You said after retirement. We're not voting him in for after retirement. It's the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Good People. All right, guys. It's based on what you did on the field.
By the way,
I don't care what you did outside.
I'm not sure that he's a certain definitely
Hall of Fame. Let me guess, because
we're not talking about Cy Young 511 wins. We're talking about a guy who won 216 games in the majors.
Yeah, baseball's different. Yuri. It's
3.23. Yeah, right. No, listen. I understand everybody can have their opinions, but listen to this, guys. You cowards sat on your hands, did nothing while liberal trash looted, rioted, and burned for Air Jordans and big screens. Sit back, shut up, and watch folks start a confrontation for shit that matters, like rights, democracy, and the end of the corruption. In 48 hours, he had 600 retweets and 3,000 likes. We've had this conversation plenty of times. Should athletes be role models? No, they shouldn't. But you know what? You're right. You shouldn't be expected to be a role model. But whether you like it or not, you are influential. You are an influencer. You influence the masses. So there's a responsibility that comes with being a professional athlete in today's world. Perhaps not 50 or 60 years ago, because not everybody followed you. But today's world, they do follow you. And you know what? Whether you want it or not, it is your responsibility. Not to be a role model, but not to be a scumbag.
Well, and something really quick, Gil, and some of those, Hall of Famers, old timers, a lot of people don't really know what they did. I guess we will have to do a lot of research and do a lot of studying to realize that some of these guys also did a lot of controversial things. But, a lot of the people nowadays, they don't really know. They just look at the numbers and that's why they're there. But they don't realize that, after retirement or even while they were playing, they did a lot of things that actually pissed a lot of people off too.
I'm sure he did, but again, my whole case, I'm not supporting what he says or what he does. I think he's a scumbag as well. I think everything that comes out of his mouth is trash. But you know what? I don't care what he does off the field. This is not what he's being elected for. He's being elected for, and what they're voting on is his accolades on the field. It doesn't matter what he did off the field. Same thing with Pete Rose. I don't care that he bet on games and bet on baseball when he was a manager. Who gives a shit? When he was a player, nobody has more hits than him in the history of baseball. That's it. That's what he did on the field, and that's what we're voting him for. He's not going in the hall as a manager. Curt Schilling's not going in the hall as a baseball Tonight analyst or as a tweeter. He's going in as a pitcher. And the numbers.
He's not going in. No, he's not going in.
Look, wins a meaningless stat. Wins.
Pitcher
wins is a completely meaningless stat.
That's another argument we can have some other day. But that's you can't say it's a meaningless stat.
Okay, so bullpen blows a victory. Yeah.
You're gonna call it a meaningless stat. Whatever.
Okay, so a guy goes 7 shutout innings and his bullpen blows it, and he doesn't get a win, so that's his fault.
It's a meaningless stat. It's another conversation.
Nobody's winning 300 games again, Yuri. Stop. We're going down.
You're right. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they are.
So why are we using 300 as a magic number then?
Don't tell me that wins are meaningless. They still mean something. Yeah. They may not be the biggest evidence of how good you are, but they're not meaningless. A win is still significant to everybody in baseball. That's all you play for, the win.
Yeah, a team winning is significant. But you're going to tell me that a guy that goes, look at what's his face, DeGrom a couple of years ago. You're telling me that that guy wasn't the best pitcher in baseball because he didn't have as many wins as random that won 20 something games because he got run support.
Am I speaking English or not? I didn't say he wasn't.
I'm just telling you the point I'm making.
They're not meaningless.
Yeah, okay. I'm not saying that team wins are meaningless. Pitching wins are meaningless. They are.
They're not meaningless.
They're not what they were
Pitching
before.
wins are not meaningless.
Okay,
listen,
when they're going 5 innings.
We might not agree on wins,
other guys.
losses, guys. Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say we might not agree on wins and losses, but for a guy who doesn't think he's a Hall of Famer, Curt Schilling is definitely pissed off. So definitely pissed off.
Real quick, and I can't let this one go. Thank you for bringing the piece, Omar. Real quick, 2 other guys who didn't get in, and they may arguably be the most dominant players of their era, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. These guys have more than enough numbers to be in the Hall of Fame, but they're not getting in this year. They have 1 year left in eligibility. Do they get in? This time I'll start off with you, O. What do you think?
Oh, man. Well, I guess, you know what? If Curt Schilling's not getting in, then those 2 guys are not going to get in because they also had the issues, off the field, unfortunately. But you're right. The numbers, those are 2 of the best guys from our era. We grew up watching those guys. And Roger Clemens, to me, growing up, was the best pitcher that I can remember, when I was a kid. So I think he should definitely be in the Hall of Fame number wise. But if we're gonna hold him to the same standard as Curt Schilling, I don't think he is. And Barry Bonds, same thing. The home run king from our era. I don't think he should get in, even though I feel both of those guys, even before all this controversy with the steroids and everything, those guys had the numbers to be in the Hall of Fame.
How do you know when? How do you know when was steroids started? We don't know that. You can't tell me when he started taking steroids.
Well, you can say when Barry Bonds started getting big, that's when steroids started, right?
Says who?
All right.
Manny Alexander.
He has worked out a lot.
Manny Alexander.
A lot of pasta. He has ate a lot of pasta. He has got big. My bad. I tried that and I haven't gotten big. Sorry.
Manny, I'm just telling you can't pinpoint when they started taking steroids. That's what I'm saying with that argument. I'm with you on everything else, but that argument is like you can't tell me that because he was taking steroids. Steroids are one thing. Human growth hormones are different. Steroids do different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, you and I have had this debate for a while. I kind of think I know where you're going. What do you think about Roger and Bonds?
They both belong in the Hall of Fame. They both belong in the Hall of Fame. Not only based on the fact that if you take Barry Bonds and say when we're speculating that he started taking steroids, he already had a Hall of Fame numbers at that point. As he's well on his way. Same thing with Clemens. So we're basing it on what they did on the field. Everybody you can presume was doing it back then. I don't care if you tell me, Cal Ripken played almost 3,000 straight games with the benefit of nothing. Okay, sure, yeah, all right. So you can throw out a name, you can suspect anybody that from that era of it. The fact is, it wasn't illegal until they made it illegal afterwards. The fact is, everybody knew what was going on. I would even argue and say that the president of the United States at the time knew what was going on, since he was owner of the Rangers, and that team had several offenders on that team as well. So you tell me that the owner of that team doesn't know what's going on? Come on. So yeah, they do absolutely 100% belong in the Hall of Fame. What do you think?
This is one of the. I'll be honest with you guys. This is one of the conversations, and I love baseball. I've made my living off of it. I made my life off of baseball. But this conversation is one of the conversations that I hate the most. I hate talking about the Hall of Fame. I borderline hate the Hall of Fame because I think it's a joke that how the voting is done. I think it's a joke how all these there's so many. There's really there are no real set rules. Let's be honest. It changes all the time. I am adamant about the Curt Schilling thing. The character clause or whatever character clause. I am adamant also about the steroid era. The way I see it is. Listen, if you got caught, you got caught. Too bad. Tough if the other guy didn't get caught and he's in. Too bad. Listen, we all speed. We're all those of us who drive. We've all sped at some point in our lives. Not all of us have gotten caught. So some of us get tickets, some of us don't because we didn't get caught. If you got caught, you got caught. Tough. Unfortunately for Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, they were never caught per se, but there's enough evidence to show that they did, or to at least suspect strongly. I can't let them in. If they're let in, then I better see Manny Ramirez. I better see A-Rod. I better see David Ortiz next year. I better see Pete Rose as well. If those two guys are let in, everybody else has to be let in.
Steroids wasn't illegal when they were allegedly taking them. They weren't illegal.
They were illegal to acquire them. Absolutely, they were illegal drugs. You can't acquire illegal drugs without a prescription.
MLB, I don't care about the U.S. rules. MLB rules. I mean, listen. They fight on the field. I can sue you for assaulting me if you get in a fight with me on the field. Nobody's getting. That's not happening. So
listen, if you were here right now, I'd assault you. All right.
They weren't legal until Jose Canseco wrote a book.
I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's based on what you did on the field. Everybody in Major League Baseball knew what was happening. The commissioner knew what was happening. Everybody accepted what was happening.
I agree with that.
Let them in.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
All right. Well, guys, switching topics, something less controversial for sure. Back in November, the NBA announced that it was for sure, right? Less controversial because back in November, the NBA announced that it was postponing the 2021 All-Star game hosted by the Indiana Pacers. However, the Players Association is now discussing the possibility of staging the game in Atlanta. Several games had to be postponed due to COVID earlier this month. To me personally, it doesn't make any sense, guys, to gather the league's top players in one location just for one exhibition game. Uri, what's your take on it?
I can't even believe that this is being discussed. I mean, we were so proud of the NBA, how they did the whole bubble thing. we were so proud when we heard the announcement that they had decided to cancel the NBA All Star. We've talked about how the NBA has been, a leading the leading league, or leading example of how to handle COVID. But we also talked about the fact that the NBA didn't have to deal with COVID-19 the way that MLB, MLS, and the NFL, et cetera, had to prior to this current season, because they were in a bubble. They were in a bubble, and sure, in a bubble you can beat COVID-19, but now they are playing under the same rules that everybody else is playing, and they're feeling the effect. They're feeling the impact. Guys, there have been 22 games postponed due to COVID-19. 22 games have been postponed without any makeup dates yet announced. If I'm not mistaken, no makeup dates announced. There were 16 cases last week. There were 11 positive cases this week. This is going to continue to be the season of COVID-19. This is going to continue to be a season that's going to, like we've mentioned before, carry an asterisk. It's you can't beat it, and it blows my mind to even think that they're considering Atlanta. I mean, it blows my mind that they're thinking of having it, but then they say Atlanta. Like, I mean, Atlanta? Why not do it in Miami? Do it in Florida, where they're doing just as bad. Atlanta has 75,000 total cases. The cases are on the rise. We are at 439,000 plus deaths in the U.S. Just this week. The Hawks, the NBA lost. Sako Smith, 48-year-old reporter and personality. I mean, we are continuing to see people lose their lives day in and day out. We're talking about an All-Star game? Who the hell is going to benefit out of an All-Star game? Come on now. That's just a stupid question.
Yeah. Especially, if you're going to do it, do it in a state where it's cold. There's nothing going on right now. Don't do it in Atlanta or Miami where athletes are going to go out. Exactly, right? Gil, game or no game?
You know what? I am going to say they should have it and they should do it. And I think they're doing it for a good cause. First of all, they're going to be donating a lot of the money to historically Black colleges and universities, and also to COVID-19 relief as well. But also,
they need to give it to COVID-19 relief. They're gonna provoke another implosion.
It also comes down to money, though, Uri. And right now, the NBA is and the NBA Player Association are teetering on thin ice on the salary cap right now, on whether or not that salary cap is going to remain the same or whether it's going to drop again. And if it drops again, that's a significant hit to the players and the player salaries league wide as well. So the players want this, the owners want this, the league wants it as well. They need to recoup every single penny that they can that they've been losing this year with a shortened season and also a lot of the cancellations. So because of the strange season, because of the financial uncertainty of the season as well, they do need to go through with this. And I see why they're going through with it. And, I mean, you have to believe that
they're
going to
recoup my money.
Listen, I've traveled. I haven't gotten COVID, luckily, knock on wood, you have to assume that these guys are going to be men. They're going to be professionals, and they're going to be responsible about what they're doing while they're there.
Also, only irresponsible people get COVID. Only irresponsible, unprofessional people get COVID. That's the only people that get it. Really?
I mean, so how are they going to get?
They got to make up the money. We're talking about lives. What price do you put on a life? We're talking about 439,000 deaths in the U.S.
Yeah, the NBA All-Star Game's not contributing 439,000 deaths.
They're going to contribute anything that's worth a life. Nothing
again,
that's worth a life.
If you're getting on an airplane and you're flying on a chartered plane and you've been tested already, and you get there and you get to the arena and then you're playing in a game, who are they putting in danger?
Themselves.
Who are they putting in danger?
Themselves.
I just finished telling you, I'm pretty sure they're going through different protocols where they're testing these players before they get on planes and getting over there. So, I mean,
None of the protocols have gone undefeated.
They're not getting tested every day and they're at home doing other things. But I'm sure the guys that are going to All-Star games, I mean, look, again, you're talking about the guys that are the key players on their teams as well. So, again, be a professional. You know the ramifications of this. You know why it has to happen. You know why we're doing it. Be a professional and do it. Be responsible.
Meet me in the playground after school today.
As much as I would love to see Jaylen Brown play his first All-Star game after leading the Celtics in scoring this year, to me, it has no value this year, the All-Star game. Trust me, I'm a big fan of the All-Star game. Not this year. That's my take.
Yeah, tell him. Tell him. I don't know, man. You're on your own, Gil.
I mean, I don't know. Do you guys understand the salary cap ramifications? If the salary cap goes down $20 million, what that means to players, what that means to the league, what that means to teams, what it means to the financial stability of the league. Like, look, take a few tests, be responsible men while you're out there. You're not going to strip clubs. You're not doing all this other stuff. And, play you're spending 2 days there. You can handle it.
Hey, I guess, maybe you should be the commissioner. You deal with it, and we'll see how it works.
No, I could do man. I could do Manfred's job, not Silver's job.
I guess Gil doesn't. I guess Gil doesn't realize that we're all taking a hit this year financially somehow.
Oh, and I thought you were Fidelito.
You're right. But he's only concerned about the NBA players.
He's on the tee.
That's right.
Well, guys, we reached the end of the podcast here, and always the last segment where we give the abrazo or the chancletazo, where we give somebody a hug or a spanking with a flip flop. And let's start off with you, O. What do you got this week?
Guys, man, I want to send the biggest abrazo up there in heaven to my best friend for the last 13 years. A few days ago, I had to say goodbye to my dog Ellie, who I adopted when she was 6 months old. During that time, she became my everything. You guys know that it was the hardest thing to do, but I think it was the right one. Many people have said that I was lucky to have her. No, I was blessed to have her and be her pet dad. So I just wanted to say, gracias, Ellie, por todo. Home doesn't feel the same without you anymore. Rest in peace and rest in doggy heaven, my princess, my father princess.
Oh man, you're gonna mess me up over here. Yuri, what do you rest in peace, Ellie, man. Yeah, it's hard when they go, man. It's the worst. Yuri, what do you got this week?
No, F you guys. You guys suck. How am I supposed to follow that? How am I supposed to follow that? Really? Rest in peace, Ellie. But dude, really put me on the spot, huh? No, absolutely. Rest in peace. And we share in your pain, brother. But I am gonna give a chancletazo. Huge, I wish I had poop on my chancleta because I want to slap him with it. Matt LaFleur. Who the hell are you? What the hell were you thinking? Matt, do you understand who your quarterback is? Do you understand what you were playing for? Do you understand where you were? You go out and try to kick a field goal? What the hell are you doing? You're going to the Super Bowl. You have Aaron Rodgers. You don't kick a field goal. What the hell are you thinking? LaFleur, if I could give you a chancletazo, brother, I wouldn't stop. Oh, my God, don't even ask me anymore. Oh, Matt LaFleur, dude, you seriously, dude, enough.
I agree. I would wear the chancleta and walk outside and walk my dogs and step on every piece of dog poop I can find and then spank them with it. Yeah. What are you doing? Imagine having Aaron Rodgers and making a decision to kick a field goal.
I can't imagine that.
Unbelievable. Well, guys, for me, the king is dead. A big hug to the UFC after its biggest star, Conor McGregor, suffered a second-round TKO at the hands of Dustin Poirier. I mean, look, does it mean that he's done? No. He's going to fight again. He'll fight again. But the days of McGregor being this invincible machine in the top draw are done. He's still a top draw. He still has his loyal fans. He still has loyal fans. He's still entertaining as hell in the press conferences and in the fights itself. But the era of invincibility is gone, and it's been missing since Khabib choked him out. His fans would say, and they would argue and say that, no, well, he was drinking at the time. He wasn't in shape. He wasn't doing this. He's taking it more serious now. Even with taking it serious, Poirier is able to chop him down and knock him out in the second round. So I know Uncle Dana is feeling that one because having McGregor back as that invincible force and with that aura is very different than having McGregor, who is entertaining, but it is a very different thing. And he's able to pull the casual fans in as well. So that's a big hug for Uncle Dana and the UFC on that one.
Even though I will say this also, I thought that McGregor's trash talking abilities had also calmed down a little bit. I feel like he was missing some alcohol in his veins to really bring out the Conor McGregor of old that really got everybody going. I felt like his trash talking game just took a step back, didn't it?
Well, I mean, I don't know. You're a dad. They say that fatherhood kind of calms you down a bit, right? And he's traveling with his family. He's got his kids around. His kids are running around during the press conference and stuff. So,
I guess.
I guess that it kind of tones you down a bit, right?
My kids had the opposite effect on me. I'm more wound up now. They drive me nuts. So.
Oh, man. Well, guys, we've reached the end of this episode of the Tres Leches Sports Podcast. As always, bringing you 3 topics in the world of sports. And as always, brought to you in conjunction with El Mundo Boston. For Uri Berenguer, from Omar Cabrera, I'm Gil Matos. Have a great week, guys. Make sure you guys follow us on the socials. Peace out.
I'll see you at in the playground.
In the playground, behind the rock.